Thanks for tuning in to Channel 4's nightly broadcast. Tonight's uninterrupted broadcast will include important information regarding GDP, unemployment, and inflation. Stay tuned for more on these topics. GDP is the total output of all final goods and services produced by labor in the U.S. GDP measures the performance of the nation's economy. It determines whether the economy is increasing, decreasing, or remaining constant. Real GDP is adjusted for inflation levels. The final GDP for 2012 is $15.09 trillion. The projected GDP for 2013 is $16.2 trillion. In the first quarter of 2012, the GDP was up by 2.2% from 2011. However, by the end of 2012, in quarter 4, the GDP was up only by 0.4%. From 2008 to 2009, the GDP decreased due to the economic catastrophes of 2008. However, it did increase again in 2010. From 2009 to 2012, the economic growth is basically flat, which means the economy is moving in slow motion. From 1999 to present, the GDP has steadily increased with a slight dip in 2009. For the economy to continue growing and to regain the strength it lost in the 2008 recession, the GDP needs to grow by 3% per year just to bring the unemployment rate down by 1%. However, the economy is growing too slow to boost job growth.
Why should GDP be important to our listeners?
GDP should be important to everyone because unless the GDP increases significantly, the economy will not be able to improve by lowering unemployment.
That's a good point. The unemployment rate is the percentage of the nation's labor force that is unemployed. The government defines unemployment as people who do not have a job, have actively looked for work in the prior 4 weeks, and are currently available for work.
Who's included in the labor force?
The labor force is made up of civilians 16 years and older. It excludes people who are under 16 years old, confined to an institution, or serving in the armed forces. However, it does include both the employed and unemployed. The current unemployment rate as of March 2013 is 7.6%. This is down from 9.1% in January 2011 and 8.3% in January 2012.
How do we get the unemployment rate down to 0%?
We can't. A zero unemployment rate is not realistic in a market economy. Therefore, 4 to 6% is considered a normal rate. The unemployment rate is an indicator of the strength of the economy. The higher the unemployment rate, the worse the economic conditions. Our 7.6%, slightly above the normal 4 to 6%, shows that the economy is stronger than in past years, but maybe not strong enough.
What do you mean?
While the U.S. added 88,000 jobs in March 2013, many people contribute the lower unemployment rate to frustrated people simply dropping out of the workforce, not securing employment. The smaller workforce creates the appearance of a healthier economy, but experts say we need to create about 140,000 jobs a month to keep up with the population growth.
If people are discouraged about the employment situation now, how were things during a major catastrophe like the Great Depression?
The unemployment rate in 1932 peaked at about 23.6%. However, unemployment data during the Great Depression is inflated because people employed in public works programs were considered unemployed at the time. In December 1982, the unemployment rate was 10.8% due to the global economic recession in the late 70s and early 80s. These rates are much higher than the current rate, and even the rates during our latest recession, where unemployment in 2009 reached 9.9%. With the economy expected to grow slowly this year as a result of budget cuts, the unemployment rate is expected to remain above 7.5% into the next year. If that happens, 2014 will be the 6th consecutive year with unemployment above 7.5%, the longest period in the last 70 years. We asked listeners to call in and share what they think about this information and why it matters to them. We have Maddie on the phone to give us her opinion. Hi Maddie, thanks for calling.
Hi guys, I just wanted to let everyone know that the unemployment rate should matter to everyone because higher unemployment rates create challenges for everyone. It also keeps the pay down since so many people are competing for the same job, which is good for the employer but bad for the employee. This makes it harder for workers to support their families, which can lead to a dependence on social programs such as welfare and unemployment compensation. The federal and local governments are also affected as they lose tax revenue when there is less taxable income. Ultimately, it becomes a snowball effect in which every aspect of the economy suffers.
Yeah, a snowball effect that can take inflation with it. Inflation is the general increase in prices when the purchasing value of money falls.
How is inflation measured?
To measure inflation, a number of goods that represent our economy are put together into what is referred to as a market basket. The cost of this basket is then compared over time and results in a price index. A price index is the cost of the market basket today and the percentage of the cost of that identical basket at the start of the year. The two main price indexes which measure inflation are the Consumer Price Index, CPI, and the Producer Price Index, PPI. In this broadcast, we're just going to focus on CPI. The CPI is a measure of price changes in consumer goods and services such as gasoline, food, clothing, and automobiles. The CPI measures price change from the perspective of the purchaser. Today, the current U.S. inflation rate is 1.6%. Throughout history, the U.S.'s inflation rate has remained anything but constant. For example, in the 1930s, the inflation rate was at rock bottom, reaching the 0.6 to 0% range. A low inflation rate means that the value of money was high, so products being sold in the 1930s were way cheaper than today. However, in 1970, the rate greatly increased to reach its highest point of 6.2%. During this decade, money had little value. You couldn't buy much with your money. Then as we moved into 2011, the rate was the same as it is currently, 1.6%. In the following year, 2012, the rate increased to 2.9%. The rate grew because Americans were starting to pay more for their food, housing, and transportation rather than their energy needs. Cheaper energy costs offset the increases.
How does this affect our economy today?
In our economy today, the inflation is neither helping nor hurting it. The economy is being presented as positive but weak, meaning that it is expanding due to new job opportunities that are slowly decreasing the unemployment rate, but it's also contracting because of the high oil prices and a slow housing market.
Why should people care about inflation?
They don't realize how important it is for our future. For example, if the inflation rate increases, then the value of everyone's money will decrease, causing all goods and services to be very expensive. The cost of living will reach an ultimate high, making it hard to pay bills and buy the necessities you need. We want to thank all the listeners and callers for tuning into tonight's broadcast. We hope everyone not only gained valuable information, but also learned why they should take care about these topics. Join us next time for more on the economy.